you are good to go.
All right. Hey guys, I'm so excited today to have an incredible speaker join us, Bob Heilig. If you guys don't know, Bob is the podcast speaker from Your Virtual Upline. We share his podcast all the time because he is different than a lot of other business podcasts because he specifically focuses on network marketers. And he does that with his own spin, which is to come from his motto is to love, serve, and grow. So that's what drew me to Bob, was that he focuses not just on us, pushing products or spamming people or anything like that. He is all about creating a business that you truly believe in and that can help you change the world in a positive way. I started listening to his podcast and it was so different than anything I had listened to. And it gave me just tangible tips on what exactly I could do. So I enrolled in one of his courses and it was a free course and he gave me so much value in that 5 days. I overcame fears that I had with recruiting and talking to people about coaching. I was afraid and I got over that in just 5 days. So I decided to enroll in his online course called Legacy Leadership Academy last year. And through his course, I was able to work on my mindset, push through a lot of limiting beliefs, and grow my business exponentially. If you guys don't know, I basically was stuck. I felt very stuck in my business, and he spoke right to me saying how I was basically, stuck and I couldn't create duplication. I couldn't find people who wanted to work the business. I couldn't help them have success. And through going through his program, I was able to just have a complete breakthrough in that area, create a team of my own with my own leaders who are rocking it. And we have, we became a premier team last year. We're on our track for elite this year. To say that Bob helped me would be an understatement. He completely changed my business. So I'm now in his next level leadership academy. And that is why we have the honor of having him on this team call today. And there's several other leaders on our team who are also in his leadership course. But Bob, thank you so much for being here. I'm super pumped to have you on, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say. I think everyone will benefit from what you're going to tell us. So go ahead.
Well, thanks, Nicole. I really appreciate you having me, and always love hearing stories like that. And, I think you've been a great example of a student of ours that has really taken the information that we give and put it to work. And to me, that's one of the best qualities that a leader has, right? Leaders, in my mind, leaders are not somebody that are recognized just because of, what they've accomplished in the past. They're people that do every day, right? Leading by example, being willing to, I love the fact that you shared a little bit about pushing past your fears and, being willing to always try to go to that next level, whatever that next level is. So really grateful to have you be a part of our community, and I'm grateful to be here. And I'm going to share a message with you today that I truly hope is going to inspire a lot of you. Just curious here, how many legacy leaders do we have here on the training today? Just kind of curious. I see some people raising their hands. And how many of you listen to the podcast? Do we have some podcast listeners? Okay, cool. Awesome. So the podcast is called the Your Virtual Upline podcast. Cool. I see Amy is in the house. Hey, Amy. The podcast is called the Your Virtual Upline podcast. So definitely check that out. We do 2 new episodes every week. I put a lot of time into that show. But if you are a listener to the podcast, some of the things I'm going to share today, you've probably heard before. My hope, though, is I always want to try to share it in a way that's a little bit different every time to try to help it sink in more. But our thing, what we really do is we train leaders. So we are what I consider what we do. We are a leadership development company for network marketing professionals. And the program that, cool, Tammy just became a legacy leader. Awesome. So the program that Nicole was referring to, we created is the first ever leadership certification program specifically designed for network marketers. And the reason why we focus on leadership is because I truly believe that is the number one problem that almost everyone faces in their business. You know, there's a huge focus today on social media training and social media strategies. And I'm a huge proponent of social media. I think it's the greatest tool that we've ever had for our profession if it's used the right way. But I also think that there is a trap of social media in that sometimes we have a tendency to focus too much on social media and marketing, thinking that, you know, the solution to our problem is finding a different platform or, you know, gaming the algorithm in a different way. And those types of things are important. But here's what I found to be the case. For most people, their problem is not what's happening on social media. It's what's happening in between their two ears. It's the mindset that you have when it comes to your business. And on the topic of leadership, I'd like to talk to you today about what I think as a leader in this profession, where you really need to be focusing if you truly want to create a business and a life that you love and the success that you desire. And I also want to mention that a lot of times when I talk about leadership, it's interesting because I think back to the early days of when I started my first network marketing business. I struggled big time in my first year. I didn't recruit a single person to my team. I did not have success right away. I really struggled a lot. It wasn't for a lack of effort. I would hear people talk about leadership and leadership training, and I would always kind of tune out because my definition in my mind of what a leader was is someday when I had a team, then I would finally become a leader. And I always was looking like outside of myself, and I never looked at myself as a leader. And I never realized that that was part of the problem. But here's what I want you to understand. It's an important thing to get. You're a leader the day that you sign into your business, whether you realize it or not. And if you're still struggling to create the results that you want, it's because you haven't yet recognized that. And I'll tell you, if you struggle building a team and you haven't really built the kind of business that you want, I'm going to tell you why. It's because you haven't learned how to lead the most important person you will ever lead in your lifetime, and that's yourself. See, inside of our program, this certification that we have, we've created something that's called the 5 phases of network marketing leadership. It's actually a success path to help people grow from the early stages of not even having a team all the way to the higher levels of leadership that we all aspire to, where we can build a business that gives us not only financial success, but the time and the personal freedom to enjoy that. And this kind of success path that we take all of our students through starts out with what we call phase number 1, which is self-leadership. And when it comes to learning how to lead yourself, here's the key. You must learn how to master your own mind. And this is something that a lot of people struggle with. And we have a term that we kind of affectionately use inside of our program. Looking back, it's very clear to me the reason why I struggled my first year is because I was a stereotypical one of these people, and it's what we call a hobbyist. And I bet for a lot of you, this is going to kind of be a little bit of a wake-up call because I'm going to call some of you out right now. But I'm going to do it in a way that is, from the best place because I want to see you win. Because I wish somebody would have told me this stuff when I first started out. But I'll tell you the reason why, in my experience, why I think most people struggle in this type of a business, because they don't treat it like a business. They treat it like a hobby. And I'm going to give you some of the characteristics of what a hobbyist is, and you can kind of self-diagnose yourself and see if this applies to you. Hobbyists have a tendency to treat their business more like a hobby. And here's one of the easiest ways for you to tell if you're a hobbyist. If you're making money. If you're not consistently making money in your business, if your business is not growing, it's most likely because you're treating it more like a hobby. And here's the problem with treating your business like a hobby. It'll act like a hobby. And I don't know about any of your hobbies, but none of mine pay me very well. They cost me lots of money, but they don't pay me. And here's the sad reality that I found myself in for the first 2 years of my business. I had money going out every month for product samples, for training, for personal development, for all this stuff. Money was going out. It was going out. I was traveling to events. And that was fine, like in the very beginning, because I get it. Like, businesses take a while to build a base. But my problem was I was a year in and it was still happening and there was still no money coming in. And I'm going to tell you, if that's where you find yourself, you don't need me to tell you this. That's a problem, right? We're in this because I know you might not be motivated just by making money, but if you don't make money, you're not going to be able to go out and make the impact that you want. So hobbyists, they struggle with earning consistent income. Here's the reason why. The two biggest enemies of all hobbyists are fear and overwhelm. If you find yourself struggling on a consistent basis with fear and overwhelm, you're a hobbyist. Here's the interesting thing about fear and overwhelm. They're self-inflicted wounds. We create them ourselves in our own minds. So what I want to do is I want to tackle these two things, because here's the problem with fear and overwhelm. Fear and overwhelm will lead you to be inconsistent. Fear and overwhelm will lead you to self-sabotage. Like, here's what hobbyists do. I did this. I literally wrote the book on self-sabotage. Every time something would start going well, like even the slightest sign, I would figure out a way to totally just ruin it. Or I was so inconsistent. Like, how many of you get frustrated at yourself because it's like, you know what you're supposed to be doing, but you're just not doing it, or you're not doing it long enough to see the results. That's what the hobbyist falls into, because they fall victim of their own mind. Now, I'd like to break down each of these two things, fear and overwhelm, and I'd like to give you some actionable things that you can focus on to get out of it. Because when we take our students, when we take hobbyists come into our program because they want to learn how to start actually running their business like a real business, what that looks like and what that means. And the first step in self-leadership is we teach you how to master your own mind. And when it comes to these two things, let me break each one down for you. The first one I think I want to talk about is fear. Just by a show of hands, a little nod here. How many of you, be honest, fear is almost a daily struggle for you? Being afraid of, things you have to do in your business, reaching out, presenting, leading. How many of you are guilty of from time to time being a little bit too hard on yourself, negative thoughts, you've got limiting beliefs, right? An unmanaged mind is the biggest enemy of success when you're first starting out, right? Because our belief is so fragile in the beginning. And we think, right? I can remember in the early days, I would always be like, man, I wish I was as confident as my upline. I wish I had their belief. And I always thought in my mind that someday when I had the success, then I would have confidence and then I would have belief. I never realized that that's not the way that it works. One of my early mentors, I said to him, I said, it'd be easy for me to be the way you are if I had your team. And he said, Bob, here's your problem. He goes, you're never going to have what I have until you start acting the way that I act. See, the results don't come first. You have to start acting as if you already have the results today in order for you to start to change the circumstances and the results of your life. See, some of you are caught up in this self-perpetuating cycle of negative thoughts and limiting beliefs, and you just keep creating more of what you don't want. You're letting your past actually define what your future looks like. Now, the hobbyist doesn't even realize they do this. They're completely unconscious to it. But let's talk about fear. I'm going to give you a different way to look at fear today. Here's all fear is. Okay, when you think about it like this, it's kind of funny. And you're going to be like, this is exactly what I do. All fear is you imagining a negative outcome for an action that you haven't even taken. Just think about that for a second. Fear is just a story in your mind that you make up that does not serve you in moving forward and creating the life that you want. So let's take a common scenario. We're having a conversation with somebody on Facebook, right? We're relationship building. I'm using my air quotes here. Relationship building. We're having a conversation and we have this thought. I want to bring up my product. I want to bring up my business. And we feel fear because what do? Because we have an unmanaged mind, the hobbyists do this, unmanaged mind, we immediately think about all the ways it's going to go wrong if we do it, and we allow that story to be the thing that we believe, and we do nothing. And all day long, what we do is we create what we call red lights for ourselves. See, when you cling to your fears, when you have a negative thought, when you imagine something's not going to go your way, we call that a red light story. And we're creating these red light stories every single day, and we're not even realizing it, that it's keeping us from moving forward and doing the things we want. Or here's what happens. This is also interesting. How many of you, just curious, are doing what you're supposed to be doing, but you're still not seeing the results? Show of hands. You're doing, like, look, I'm doing what Nicole tells me, but it's not working for me. How many people are in that place? Well, let me explain to you how this works. If you have negative thoughts and limiting beliefs behind the actions that you're taking, you still will never see the results that you want. Because here's what's interesting. Your actions are not what matter. It's your thoughts and your feelings behind your actions that matter. So if you're reaching out and sharing your products and business with people, but behind those actions, you've got these limiting beliefs about yourself, right? I don't know if I'm good enough. I'm not a great leader. I don't have the results that I want. These people are not going to take me seriously. They're going to think I'm bothering them. They're going to think I'm selling them. See, what the hobbyist doesn't realize is even though when they take the action sometimes, it's all these stories and red lights that are playing in their head that actually keeps them from what they want. Because here's the thing, people don't buy your words. They don't buy your actions. They buy the intentions behind them. And if you don't have the confidence and the belief behind it, people will sense that. You're going to just be going through the motions. But either way, you fall victim of that unmanaged mind and those fearful negative thoughts. So how do we begin to change this? Well, here's the first thing. We stop focusing on the actions. Because this is what the hobbyist does. They're always focusing on what they can do differently. Maybe I just need to talk to more people. Maybe I need to, Facebook's not working for me anymore, so I'm going to try out Instagram. Or I need a different script, or this third-party tool that I have doesn't work. Or, you know what? I don't like my upline, so I'm going to go join another company, right? We're always looking outside of ourselves thinking that that's the problem, never realizing that we are the one that's creating the problem. And what I always say is, here's what's interesting. No matter wherever you go, there you are. So here's where you begin to change your life. You change it at the level of thought. Negative thoughts create negative results 100% of the time. You must stop creating these red light stories that are either keeping you from taking the actions you want, or they're causing you to take the actions in an ineffective way. Here's the goal, and this is what we teach people to do. Stop feeding your fears and start building your faith. Faith is the antidote to fear. Fear is imagining a negative outcome. Faith is imagining a positive outcome. Practicing faith is creating green lights. Here's what's so funny when you understand this. Either way, you're making up a story. You have no way of knowing when you reach out to that person that you haven't talked to in 10 years. You have no way of knowing how they're going to react to you. You don't know that they're going to get angry because you haven't talked to them, in 10 years and you're reaching out to them about a business. But what do? You make up a story around that doesn't serve you. You have no way of knowing when you go live if your friends are going to make fun of you. But what do? You create a story that's going to happen. All day long, you're creating these red light stories. You must learn how to stop feeding your fear and start building your faith. You must learn how to start creating stories that empower you. But that requires you to become conscious of the thoughts that are going on in your mind. See, we have, Nicole mentioned this thing that I created called Legacy Leadership is based on this very simple idea of the way that you can create the business and the life of your dreams and the success you want is by practicing something that we call love, serve, and grow. And in a very simplified way, here's what it says. If you can put love at the center of your business and your life, and you can focus on serving before recruiting and selling. So that means putting other people first, like truly becoming passionate about helping people and starting to look at your business, not just as a way for you to make money, but seeing it through the lens of a bigger purpose and a calling, like there's something more important that you're here to do than just pay your bill. If you can love and serve and you focus on that, everything you want will grow as a byproduct. Your income will grow, your team will grow, your happiness, your fulfillment, your joy. Everything you want comes from love and service. Now, this is something that sounds very nice, but most people struggle with it for one simple reason. They forget to show love to the most important person they will ever show love to their entire life, and that's themselves. Look, I struggled in my business for over a year because I didn't love myself. Now, that sounds really funny to say. What do you mean? You didn't love your, well, here, let me explain to you what I mean. Because I had all these limiting beliefs about myself that were controlling everything. And I didn't even realize they were there. I wasn't good enough, right? I never did anything like this before. You know, I saw all these failures and I kept attaching myself to those failures thinking, see, I told you I'm not cut out for this. I was so like disparaging. I had all this negative self-talk and these negative thoughts. I would knock myself down anytime something went well. I was always comparing myself to everybody else, how much better they are. Like I was so hard on myself. And I challenge you to pay attention to the way that you think and talk to yourself every day. And here's the analogy that I use. I want you to imagine someone in your life, somebody that you care about more than anything in the world. Could be your husband, your wife, mother, father, children. If you have children, it's really good to do with them. And I want you to pay attention to the way that you talk to yourself every day, the thoughts you have. And I want you to imagine spending an entire day talking to that other person that same exact way, treating that person the same way that you treat yourself. Now, I have a 3-year-old son and a 3-month-old son. The thought of me treating my 3-year-old son, who's at such an impressionable age right now, right? Everything you say, it's like it's in their subconscious and I'm developing their, like if I couldn't imagine talking to my 3-year-old son the way that I used to talk to myself every single day. And the question is, why would you never do that? And why would you never talk to the person you care about? Well, it's really simple, because you love them. And that's not the way you treat people that you love. My question to you is this: well, then why do you do it to yourself? See, some of you, your life and your business will begin to change the moment you begin to start loving and accepting yourself again, to get rid of these stories that you've created that you can't do this, you can't do that, to stop looking to your past for proof of what you can do in your future. You need to really start stepping into a more powerful mindset. Start waking up to the power of your mind when it comes to creating the results that you want. Because if you can start creating more positive, empowering thoughts and beliefs, that will completely change the way that you show up. But this is the thing, the hobbyists will stay stuck forever. They'll even create success at some level, but they'll never allow themselves to enjoy it because it's never going to be enough. So it starts with you really beginning to manage your mind. And that's something that we really focus on big time with all of our students. We take them through this very, very scripted process. We have this course that we've created to help you begin to manage your mind. But let me talk to you about the second thing. The second thing is overwhelm. And overwhelm is very closely related to fear. It's also something that you create in your mind. And I think in my experience, I have found that overwhelm it's more prevalent today than it has ever been, because we have access to information in a way that we've never had before. And here's where these two things are closely related. Because we struggle with fear, we have a tendency to not take action as much, and we focus on what I call passive action. Passive action is doing things like personal development, training, surfing on social media, right? Getting ready to get ready. All the things that, how many of you you're busy? Like you're busy all week long. But at the end of the week, what you really have to ask yourself is, what did I produce this week? Because if you're busy, but your business isn't growing, that's not good enough. And the hobbyists, because they struggle with fear, they try to take on too much. They don't have any focus. And they feel overwhelmed, not because they have too much to do, because they don't know the next thing to do. That's what overwhelm is. You have no clarity on what to do next because you're constantly trying to do everything, thinking that that's going to be the solution to your problem. See, the solution to overwhelm, and really the secret to success is this: you actually achieve more by doing less. See, the secret to success is not working harder, it's working smarter. See, some of you need to hear that. See, I had a limiting belief for a very long time in my business that the only way that I could make more money was I had to work more. I had to work longer and I had to work harder. And there's this fallacy that is being perpetuated in our profession today, that in order to be a good leader and in order to be successful, you've got to subscribe to this like 24/7 grind mentality where literally you don't have a life and you are just plugged into your phone and your team every day, all day long. And I'm telling you, it's bull. It's bull. It doesn't have to be that way. If it is that way, guess what? Because you made it that way. See, in our program, we teach people how to create what I call total freedom in their life. Total freedom is more than just you making money and having a big team. It's having the time freedom and the life to enjoy it. What good is it for you to make a lot of money if you don't have the time to enjoy it, if you don't have the ability to be with your family and do things that you love without feeling guilty because you can't answer a three-way call or a message from a prospect? It doesn't have to be that way. It should not be that way. Here's the secret to success. Start getting focused and clear on the handful of things that you can do today to set you on the path to allow you to scale your business and results and have more free time. Here's what I know to be true today. Working harder has nothing to do with making money. Has nothing to do with making money. And I'll prove it to you. How many people do you know in your life that work really hard that don't make a lot of money? It's just simply not true. You're probably like, yeah, I'm one of them. I was one of them for years. Here's what I learned how to start doing, working smarter. Here's what I learned how to do. I stopped treating my business like a hobby, and I started running it like a real business. I came up with a business plan. Every single successful business has a plan. Hobbyists do not have a plan. Hobbyists just do whatever's in front of them. They're busy all the time, but they have no way of even telling if it's the right thing to do. And I got news for you. I found this to be true. There is no one-size-fits-all approach to building a business in this profession. What's right for you may be completely wrong for someone else based on their phase of development and growth. It's possible to do the right thing at the wrong time. And the problem a lot of people have, quite frankly, is they're listening to way too many people. You're taking advice from way too many people that don't understand your business, that don't understand where you are. So the key to overcoming overwhelm is beginning to have a clear plan to know exactly what you need to do at this point in your business. And the other part of it is this. It's implementing systems. See, one of the areas that we specialize is systems. And when it comes to being overwhelmed, here's what I see happen. The hobbyist will start to build their business and they'll start to have success. But the bigger their business becomes, the more demands they have on their time, the more they start to feel burned out and overwhelmed, right? Because they don't have a lot of independent leaders and because they don't have systems in place. See, if you're doing this right, here's what should happen. As your business grows bigger, you should have more free time, not less. Now, you're going to have seasons where you're going to be crazy, right? Because we go through these phases of building and developing leaders. But if your life, we had one of them in the program that Nicole is in. It's a high level coaching program for leaders. We have a lot of very successful leaders in there. And one of our students in the company that she's in, she's been top 10 in the company for 10 years. You say her name, everybody knows who she is. And on one of our coaching calls, she admitted, she's like, I haven't taken a vacation in 10 years. She goes, I literally have not taken a vacation in 10 years because I am so afraid that if I even leave for a week, that my business will start to fall apart. And I hear something like that, and I'm just like, it doesn't have to be that way, right? But if you don't have the systems in place that will allow you, as your business and your team grows, to develop leaders, to create duplication, to give you that time freedom, it's never going to happen. So in order for you to start to eliminate overwhelm, you've got to get clear on what is the plan, What are the handful of things that I need to focus on? What are all the things that I'm wasting time on right now that I don't need to be doing anymore so that I can actually start growing the kind of business that I want that will give me the life, not just the business success, but the life that I want. But once again, this is where the hobbyist gets stuck. And the sad thing was this. I was stuck in that place for years and I never even understood what my problem was. I just kept going out and trying to work harder and work longer. And all I did was I kept burning out and overwhelming myself even more. I never understood the power of my mind. I never understood what fear was. I never understood the role that belief played in creating success. And I didn't understand that I had these stories in my mind. So here's what we teach in this idea of legacy leadership. First thing we teach you how to do is love yourself again. We teach you how to start getting rid of these stories that you've created about yourself that have been holding you back for so long. We one of our students, I love sharing her story because it's like such a perfect example of this. Her name is Lisa Bolivar, and Lisa came to our program just in the beginning of the year. She had been in her business for 7 years, stuck, like no progress for 7 years. She hadn't recruited a single person in the 8 months prior to joining our program. She was literally on the verge of quitting, and she said, okay, I'm going to just give this one more shot, right? One of her sidelines kept saying, you got to join this program. She joined it. 5 days into the program, she had recruited 2 people and rank advanced. What she couldn't do in 7 years, she did in 5 days in our program. Now, when she shared her story, I said to her, I said, Lisa, I got to be honest. I said, like, I know what we do is good, but I don't know that we're that good. Like, what happened? And she shared a very simple thing, and it was so powerful. We did a story. She went live in the group. She said, Bob, she goes, you gave me probably one of the greatest gifts of my life, because she goes, I never realized for 7 years, the thing that was holding me back the whole time was that I never believed in myself. And I never understood that these beliefs that I had that were in my mind that were just playing out and running the show, I never understood the power. And she goes, you gave me the ability to believe in myself again. And she said, what was so interesting is I really wasn't doing or saying anything different, but apparently I was showing up in a different way. And I started to create the success that I want. And I get so inspired when I hear stories like that, because I think of how many students that we've had that have been stuck for so long in their business, frustrated, right? Like I was at a place in my business for so long, like I wish I would have known this earlier, because I was working so hard and I was trying to be a good person and I was trying to do things the right way. And I would see all these other people having success and I would be like, why isn't it me? What do I need to do different? Never realizing that it all started with myself. So we teach people first how to shift their mindset, and then we begin to lay out a process of starting to put the systems in place that you need to really be able to go out and build a business and get out of that hobbyist role. Like, for example, this month we're teaching onboarding. Onboarding is arguably one of the most important, if not the most important systems in your business. We have another student of ours, her name is Christy Wharton. If any of you ladies listen to the podcast, I just did an interview with Christy last week. She came to our program in July of 2019. She was in her company for 1 year. Her first year, she did $8,000 in sales all year long. No duplication, no rank advancements, just her efforts. She implemented an onboarding system that we taught her. 3 months after implementing it, her team did $80,000 in sales. She finished her second year at $114,000 in sales. This year, she's going to do $250,000 in team sales. She has 25 people that have rank advance on her team, all because of 2 things. She shifted her mindset and belief, and she implemented a system that allowed her to scale her results beyond herself. These are 2 of the most important things that you will ever do in your business. So here's my advice to you, and this is what I really want to share with you today. You really have to start thinking about how these things are affecting you. And if today, if this is the first time you're hearing about this idea of being a hobbyist, and maybe you're starting to realize that maybe this has been kind of what's holding me back, then I want to strongly urge you to really begin to start working on the things that I've talked about today. Now, I do want to mention something to you really quick, and then I wanted to make sure we left enough time here to take some questions. But we've been talking a lot about the Legacy Leadership Academy. Obviously, Nicole was a graduate of that program. We have several other legacy leaders in here. created a special offer here for this group. Anytime I speak to a large group like this, and I know I'm going to talk about leadership and we're going to talk a lot about the program, we always inevitably have people that are interested in learning more about it. And we only open enrollment a couple of times a year. But what I've done is I've put together an offer, if you're interested in checking it out and seeing what it's all about, the ability for you to join for free for 14 days. So all you have to do if you're interested in learning more is just go to legacyleadershipacademy.com/special offer, legacyleadershipacademy.com/special offer. And there's only one option on that page. You can see all the details. You can join free for 14 days. You get access to all of our training, all of our content. You get access to our Facebook group where I do tons of live coaching in there. But here's why I really want you to consider this. Today, we literally just launched the onboarding training. So when you join, you're going to get immediate access to the onboarding system that we've created, that I taught Christy, that she implemented, that helped her have her results, that we've taught to thousands and thousands of people. I would guess that was probably one of the key systems that really helped Nicole in her growth and her development. But it's in there waiting for you. And what I'll tell you is in 14 days, if you're not completely blown away, I mean, if that training and the mindset training that we take you through to help you really start to believe in yourself again, if in that time, if you don't see value, you can cancel, you won't be charged. If you do decide you want to stick around, after 14 days, you'll be billed at our normal monthly membership price, which is $57 a month. You can cancel that at any time. But at the very least, look, here's what I'll tell you. Even if money's not tight for you and you're like, Bob, I can't even do that. Just join for free and get 14 days worth of value out of it, right? If I at least can help you in that sense, in that short period of time, maybe now's not the right time. You'll come back at some point. But what I'll tell you, for most of you, you get in there, you'll see exactly why Nicole talks so much about this program, because it's unlike any other training. I truly believe that's out there today. So check that out, legacyleadershipacademy.com/special offer. So I say, Camille asked the time commitment. So the way that we do it is this. Every month, it's a 12-month curriculum, right? So we have what we call missions. There's 12 missions that make up the certification. When you complete each of the 12 missions, so we track your progress. So there's a little bit of accountability in there. But every month, on the first of the month, we release a new mission. And you go through that at your own time and at your own pace. We do, there's coaching and stuff you can plug into live in the group, but the missions are the core part of the program. If you can commit 5 to 7 hours per month, this program will absolutely change your business and change your life. We've designed the missions to be completed in that amount of time. Most of it is action oriented. So it's not you watching videos for 5 to 7 hours. It's you watching a training and doing, because a big part of you not being a hobbyist anymore is you've got to implement, learn, and grow. But we've created a 12-month business plan to help you get out of the hobbyist role, start running a real business, understand what that means, and we're going to build you as a leader throughout that process. So definitely check it out. legacyleadershipacademy.com/special offer. So, okay, Nicole, I'll kick it over to you. I wanted to make sure we left some time here for some questions. So we got some time to take some questions.
Anyone have any questions?
Or if there's anything else you want me to chat about, I'm happy to do that as well.
That was great, Bob. Thanks so much. But definitely, guys, ask some questions, because we got them here, and
usually takes a minute here.
Yeah.
So I want to address a comment that Camille made, and I think this is an important point. Camille shared how she's feeling overwhelmed because she's got a lot going on in her life, and one of the common objections, if you want to call it that we'll get from people that are considering our program is, they'll say, I don't know if I have the time because I'm already busy, right? I'm already crazy. I mean, I get it. I've got 2 little kids at home, and it's just crazy time right now. And I always say the same thing I want you to realize why you're so busy right now and why you're overwhelmed. It's because you don't have a plan. You don't have a plan. See, if you're busy, but you're not producing, your business isn't growing, it's because you're focusing on the wrong things. Like, there's no way in the world for you to do the right things the right way long enough and not see results. So somewhere it's breaking down for you. So when I hear somebody's overwhelmed and busy, then I say, great, you need this program more than someone else that does have the time. Because the first thing we're going to teach you how to do is start working smarter. We're going to teach you how to start doing more by actually focusing on less. We're going to teach you how to buy your time back. That's a really big, big thing for the hobbyist to understand, is time has nothing to do with you making money. We're going to teach you how to become more productive with the time that you do put into your business. Nicole, somebody asked you what your biggest takeaway was from the trainings.
I would say the systems and honestly the new coach onboarding or new onboarding. I think one of the things that he broke down in the new onboarding system was talking about how simple it has to be and how you have to get people over the quit line. Because when people start, if they don't have an early win, then they're more likely to quit. So if you just overwhelm them with lots of information, then they like read it all and think, I can't do this. And then they leave. And so I was experiencing that where people would say they were excited. And I had a few bad experiences where they would just, this one girl in particular was like, I'm all in. So I just like slammed her with information and she quit. And that was right before I joined Bob's thing. And then once I realized, okay, I need to take this step by step and actually work a little bit more closely with my new coaches, because I was a self-starter. I didn't do any training. I just started doing it. And I think one of the things Bob always talks about is like, you're probably not everyone's like you. So you need to remember that some people need a little bit more step-by-step in the beginning. So it helped me with my new coaches, just give them one small goal and not overwhelm them. I don't even teach my coaches now anything really about social media other than to do a coming out post. And then I have them immediately go into inviting friends and family. Whereas I used to just kind of be like, start talking on social media. And then no one would come to them. You know, they wouldn't do a very clear call to action. No one would come to them and they'd be like scared and they would quit because they didn't have anyone. So this way, new coaches are immediately getting that win and they're having someone enroll with them. And then they get excited and they're like, okay, now I can dive into learning more about social media and all these other things. But just getting that first win early on, I think is super important.
Yeah. Systems it's a very different way to think about your business. It really is. You know, I think what I did as a hobbyist, I focused on sales strategies. I thought network marketing was a sales business for a long time. And when I say sales, I'm not just talking about selling products. I'm talking about recruiting, because when you're recruiting, you're selling the opportunity. But if all you teach are sales strategies, you're never going to grow your team the way that you want. And here's how you know if you're focused on sales strategies, you're not seeing duplication. See, network marketing it's not a sales business. It's a business of leadership and training. It's a business of systems and duplication. That is a radically different way to start thinking about what you do. It really requires you to start changing your language and the way that you show up in your business. And that's a big part of the process that we walk people through. And each one of these missions is really what I consider to be a core system that all successful businesses should have in this profession. This month, we're talking about onboarding. Next month, we're talking about closing. The following month, we're going to do leadership development, creating duplication, retention. There's all these different systems that one by one, you can start to learn and implement. It really starts to have a major impact on your results. So Tammy has a good question there. She wants to know my opinion on how do we touch on everything going on in the world right now? Like, how do we show up? How much do we address it? Great, Tammy. That's a great question. I actually believe for any of you that follow me, you know, I was very vocal that when all this COVID stuff started going down, a lot of people were frozen with fear, right? They were afraid to show up. They didn't know what to do. And I was really vocal at telling people that I think this is the greatest opportunity that most of you will probably see in your lifetime, to really show the people that you know how you're different than everyone else that's in this profession. Because you want to know what most people in this profession did? they use this tragedy as an excuse to go out and sell and promote. And they almost in a I told you so kind of way threw their products and business in people's faces. And they went out and they operated like it was business as usual, right? Just posting about, and like nothing was different. And I said, it's a huge mistake. Here's the interesting thing you need to know about leadership. If you're saying and doing the same thing as everyone else, you're not a leader. By definition, you're not a leader. Leaders have a different voice. Leaders are not afraid to take a stand for something that they believe in. And when I talk about legacy leadership and I talk about love, serve, grow, here's not only what wins now, but in my case, coronavirus or not, this is the philosophy you should be leading with any time in your business. Instead of leading with selling and recruiting, lead with love and service, lead with ways that you can give back and add value to people. So what I was encouraging our community to do is get out there and be a light to people in the middle of darkness, right? Leaders, and here we go back to managing your mind. Hobbyists will struggle through a period of time like this because they get so stuck in their own head and their red light stories. People, I shouldn't talk about that, right? They don't know how to manage their own mind. But leaders, legacy leaders, will see the opportunity and say, now is the time where the world needs me more than ever. Now is the time when the people around me need me more than ever. They need a little bit of hope. They need a little bit of encouragement, right? They need somebody to be able to show up and break the routine that we get stuck in. So we actually did a challenge. We call it the Love, Serve, Grow Challenge. And this is what I told everybody. I said, here's what I want you to do. For the next 7 days, I literally want you to forget selling and recruiting, like leading with it. And just start reaching out to the people that you know, connecting with them as a human being, seeing how they are. I'm thinking about you. I just want to see how, right? Literally leading just with making it about them and sharing maybe a little bit about what you're learning in your journey as an entrepreneur that's helping you, your personal growth. Share that with others. Just giving, not expecting anything in return, and watch what it does for your business. And a lot of the hobbyists struggled with that. They're like, but wait, when do I sell and recruit? How do I bring up? I'm like, you don't get it. I'm like, drop the intention. If the only, look, here's the reason why people struggle. If your only intention reaching out to somebody is so you can sell them and recruit them, chances are you're never going to, because people can see through that a mile away, right? What do? Right? And look, I did this for years, so I'm as guilty as anybody. We reach back out to people every 3 to 6 months with these veiled attempts to make small talk and conversation, only to have it followed up every single time by a lame pitch. And every single time we get the same result, not interested, and we wonder why we can't get anybody we know to buy from us. Whereas here's what you need to do. See, you lead with love and service. And when I say service, like focus on serving people. Service is not just checking in and making small talk, right? People are like, but I relationship build. I'm like, that's not what I'm talking about. Like checking in and making small talk, that's better than not at all. But when I talk about service, I'm talking about going out of your way to try to share things with people that can help them, to let them know that you really care, adding value to someone's life. Like maybe over the last month through your studies, maybe even on this Zoom, hopefully you learned something that you're like, man, I never understood that was a different way for me to look at fear. So maybe the next time you're speaking to somebody, right, you say, hey, let me share something with you that I learned that maybe can help you. Or maybe you go live and you share that, right? That's what service is about. It's looking to add value. It's giving with the intent of trying to help people. And if that's what's really in your heart, like if really what's in your heart is giving and helping, I'm telling you, you will never have to worry about selling or recruiting ever again. And we did this challenge. We called it the Love, Serve, Grow Challenge. And we literally, I can't tell you how many people reached out to me and were like, you're not going to believe what happened. I'm like, try me. They're like, I did exactly what you said. And it was like, I had all these conversations that just shifted. And I had people that were buying my product that hadn't bought in years. I had people asking about my business that I wasn't even going to, like, it's amazing how when people really know that we care, they finally start to care what we know. And the reason why the hobbyist always struggles is because they're always coming at it just from a selfish, what can you do for me attitude. So my advice to you is this: use what's happening today as a chance for you to just go out and spread some love and hope and some positivity. Now, how much you want to talk about what's happening, that's up to you, right? But for me, I just know if I'm showing up with a positive message, being willing to put myself out there, just trying to help and inspire and encourage others, that over time, that's the thing that's going to get me more of what I want. And that's an opportunity. Like, this is an opportunity for you to show people you're different. Maybe you've made that mistake in the past, right? You've been one of those kind of like spammy people that all they want to do. Now's your chance to show people that's not all I'm about. And I think that's where this is a great opportunity for all of us in this profession to start giving the gift that we've been given of our own personal growth and development, start giving that and sharing that with others, and watch that with what that does for your results. So I see we've got some people signing up. So congratulations. And listen, this is, even if you decide you don't want to sign up, okay, please just take to heart to what I'm sharing with you here. And if you don't want to sign up, at least listen to the podcast, okay? Because that's free every single week. But here's where I really want to encourage you. I just really want to encourage every single one of you to really understand the opportunity that you have in front of you today, right? Like, we're about, see, here's another example of how managing your mind is so important. By anyone's measure, by all accounts, we're probably going to be heading into a pretty uncertain period of time when it comes to our economy, right? We're most likely heading into, now, depending on who you ask, I'm not going to predict the future. I'm not an economist, but we're going to be heading into a recessionary period in our economy. And some would argue we're already in it. Now, you can look at that at one of two ways. The hobbyist will look at that as bad. The hobbyist over the last couple of months, here's what they've been thinking. Oh my God, how can I sell my products? Nobody has money. Nobody's going to want to buy everything. They're going to save their money. They're too afraid. That's how a hobbyist thinks about it. Here's how a real business owner thinks about it. Here's how a legacy leader that knows how to manage their own mind. They look at a recessionary period as an incredible opportunity for them to start reaching out and helping and sharing with people, right? They see it as a chance for them to offer a solution to someone. Because I'll tell you, in my experience, here's the way I look at it. In down periods of the economy, this is the best time for you to start attracting high-level talent to your business. When the stock market's going through the roof and all it's doing is going up and up and up and up every year, and all it is opportunity, people are less open to things like this. But when you see your retirement account get cut by 30% in a month, and you start seeing all this uncertainty and these layoffs and businesses closing, people will start waking up. Hey, you remember what? I remember Nicole reached out to me 3 months ago, and I've been watching her videos on social media, really enjoying what she's been saying and getting value. Maybe now's the time for me to reach back out to her. Or maybe Nicole, if she's a great business owner, she's reaching out anyway, just reconnecting, loving and serving and giving, and that's going to just come up in the conversation. And this is where I think this is the opportunity that we have today. Because things are shifting and becoming more uncertain, this is a chance for you to capitalize on that. So I think Nicole, I probably have to end it on that note. I think that's a good note to end it on, because I got to go back and get my little 3-month-old and relieve my wife before she goes crazy at 5 o'clock.
I hear you.
I got to go tag her out and take care of them for about an hour.
Well, thanks so much. And I don't think I mentioned this. I meant to mention in the beginning that Bob donates a portion of his proceeds to charity, and like continuing with that service mindset. And that's what I've always loved about it, is he encourages you to look beyond what can this business do for you, but what are you doing for the world, and how does your success impact more people than you can ever imagine. And I know that already, since joining and just listening to your podcast religiously and everything, I've been able to impact so many more people. So thank you for that.
Yeah. And thank you, Nicole. I mean, it's because of people like you being a part of our community that we continue this mission, this work we're doing. And I'll just say this in closing. What I'm most passionate about is truly believing in people to help inspire them to achieve greater things in their life. Because I truly believe every single one of you. I mean, I know I don't know you, but here's what I know about you, just because you're here, is that there's something more waiting out there for you. And you may not believe that. You may not see that yet. You may struggle believing that, but I'm telling you, it is not an accident that you are here. I truly believe this, everything that's in me, is that God called me to this profession, right? I'm a person of faith. And I truly believe that the work that I was doing in my network marketing business, it was a calling for my life. I believe it. And I don't know what, you are in terms of your spirituality, God, universe, whatever. I just want you to understand there is a reason why you're here. There is a purpose to you being in Beachbody and being in this company. And it is way bigger than you just making a commission check and hitting your next rank advancement. And I think at its core, what legacy leadership is all about is it's waking people up to this bigger purpose to their life and their business and getting them to believe that that's true. Because the moment you start seeing what you do through the lens of a bigger purpose, it helps you start finding more meaning and fulfillment in the work that you do. And that's the secret to creating the business. Like my greatest desire is I want to help you not only fall in love with yourself, I want to help you fall in love with what you do again, because that is the place that you really need to be to create the results that you want. So Nicole, thank you for being a living embodiment of what it means to be a legacy leader. I mean, I know you don't need me to tell you this, but you're all very lucky to be led by somebody like her that gets it, that's willing to work on herself and challenge herself and push past her fears. And that's a great example for all of you. So yeah, I hope you got some value out of the call today. And any of you that decide to join us in the program, I have no doubt you're going to love it. We'll spend a lot of time together. I'm going to just tell you right now, if you join, we're going to have a love-hate relationship. Okay. Just be real clear about that, right? You're going to love me at the end of this certification when you see what this does for your business, but you will hate me along the way because I'm going to challenge you and I'm going to push you beyond what you're used to, because that's the way that we're going to get that potential to come out of you. So Nicole, thanks for having me today. And thanks everybody. Hope you got a lot of value out of the call.
Thanks so much.
All right. See ya.
Bye guys.